Another episode of the Self-Development with Tech Dukes podcast by me, Christopher Walch, or actually in my mother tongue, Christopher Walch. And today we're going to go through actually a book notes page, article, blog. I don't know what this is, by the way. Nothing and Everything by Val and I think Tyne, maybe Tyne or Tine or Teen, whatever it might be. It is by Derek Sivers, so on the scythe.rs nothing site, the scythe.rs site, so sive.rs/book/nihilism NE actually. And I'm gonna show you the thingy thing. So there we go. I might actually zoom in a little tiny bit so that I can read it better. And you can also read it better, because sometimes I feel like kind of the formatting and things and whatever might be a bit difficult then. I mean, when you're watching it on a phone or wherever, might be not too good. So yeah. The rating for this book by Sivers is, I love this book so much. It is the joy of nihilism. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. I agree completely. I would give it a 10 out of 10 rating, but I disliked the whole second half of the book, so just read the first half. See my notes here. If you like my book useful, not true, you should read this. It is rated 9 out of 10, therefore, by the way, and it was uploaded on the 22nd of June 2023. And if you're interested in the ISBN number, it is 1521711 I'm repeating it again, 1521711 So if you want to look it up, please do so. My notes. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. I don't know what permitted means, but yeah, nothing is actually true, kind of. What is the good life? What is the right thing to do? Asking these questions is a mistake. They assume that they are right values to have. They imply that an answer is necessary, that without one, our own lives are meaningless, that absent a compass, we will be forever lost. We can live our lives knowing in our hearts what we value, without asking our minds whether we are right or correct or justified in doing so. So stop asking, what is the meaning of life? No answer is coming. I do just realize that I might be really dark here, because the site is black. And maybe there is some reading mode here. Find on page. No, not really. I would like to really invert it, which is a bit better for you. For me, it doesn't really matter, but you would be able to see me a tiny bit more. Values are preferences or your preferences. You might value apples over oranges, honestly, over honesty over lying. You might believe your values to be objective, but then people who didn't share your values will be not only different, but wrong. Valuing something objectively will be called judging it. Coming up with reasons why a value is true will be called justifying that value. Valuing something while recognizing the subjectivity of the value will be called choosing it. Claim to objectivity, thinking there is one right answer. Some judgments can be correct and others incorrect. So claim to be objective, I do want to repeat this again. Thinking there is one right answer. Some judgments can be correct and others incorrect. Because a right answer is something outside the individual, this objectivity allows you to think of yourself as being guided by values, following the judgments laid out for you in advance. This leads to a certainty that eliminates your responsibility of having to choose and a sense of obligation to act in certain ways. Because the right answer is something beyond the individual or society, it makes you feel that you're serving something much greater than yourself. If morality, justice, and value are somehow written into the universe itself, then to act in harmony with them is to take part in some sort of universal meaning. This gives you a deeper purpose to your life. Judgments go with ideas of obligation and morality. These are the ideas that you should or ought or must do something, that something is morally required of you. Values can never be justified. Can you actually see this? Yes, you can. Wonderful. Values can never be justified. We can never know whether something is better than another thing, and it is likely that no quality of goodness exists. Choose the values you would like to live by without first cloaking them in an cloaking them in an objectivity they will never have. Values were always subjective, embrace them as such. And this is something that Derek Sivers also in a quite recent podcast with Tim Ferriss was talking about, or I don't know if he was directly talking about it, or if it was just, something that just shines through, something that you can read in between the lines of him just talking, that everyone is having values. Everyone is having a way to live their lives, and everyone has certain beliefs. But the thing is that we can choose those beliefs, and we can choose beliefs that serve us, or we can also choose certain beliefs that do not really serve us. And this is the thing, or the point. I can choose values and thoughts, actions actually as well, that really serve me and my body and my life and the people maybe around me, and or the people that I really deeply care about. And I can also choose certain things that do the complete opposite. But we choose, this is the point, we choose. And apparently quite some people, me included, sometimes, maybe often, maybe always, and whatever, choose certain things that don't really make sense. But yeah. Something, every belief has to be justified by something. What? Something, every belief has to be justified by something. Otherwise, they wouldn't have any reason to believe it. That justification usually comes in the form of other beliefs. Self-evident is you and everyone you can imagine would agree with you. I mean self-evident and saying like, okay, I'm just thinking about explaining things and not explaining things because you assume that everyone else knows it or everyone knows it, whatever it might be about, which I think is often an assumption that should not be made, I guess. Because who knows, who knows if I know everything or if this person that I'm talking to knows everything. On the other hand, maybe, and this is a completely different topic now, but maybe then assuming that this person might not know it, and or just in general assuming that people do not know, might make them feel dumb or might make them feel like, not really good, at least. Whatever feeling they might have or they might develop because of this assumption might not be a good one. So I don't know. Maybe there's something in between. Maybe there's some balancing one could do, and or at least over communication. Feeling something strongly enough does not make the world bend around your feelings. Yeah. Really, really the case. I can feel quite a few things. I can feel quite a lot of feelings, but in the end, they do actually not really bend the world. They do not change the world. In the end, my actions and the things that I am doing, quote unquote, because of those feelings, might be this thing that is indeed then world bending and or creating change. Relativism is about the variations in judgments across time and space. Many of these different judgments are contradictory. If you think that the good life is one of hedonistic pleasure and I think that it is one of stoic reserve, then our judgments contradict one another. But as judgments, these beliefs are claiming to both describe an objective reality. It can't be the case that the good life is both objectively stoic and hedonistic, because the truth of one means the falsehood of the other, so we cannot both be right. Yeah, relativism. Just depends on the person, I guess, I have beliefs and the other person has beliefs, and none of them is actually right, but I guess we're just making them right for us, and which leads to the whole thing of belief. Like, I can just choose whatever philosophy or whatever way of living I would like to have, or I would like to live by. And I maybe then and can also choose whether this is something that, makes me feel good about myself and makes me feel healthy or makes me healthy. I don't know. It's really, I think, a difficult topic, because what if I think that, whatever the fuck that we're talking about, whatever action we're talking about, a belief system that we're talking about, when I believe that it is something that, really is right for me, but I'm not seeing it correctly. I'm having some cognitive distortion that lets me think that this is the right thing, but people outside really and clearly see that it is not the case. What is the right answer there? Each judgment is a tiny minority surrounded by the thousands of conflicting judgments held right now. And those judgments held right now are an even tinier fraction of all the judgments that have been held in the past or will be held in the future. And all of the people who have held, or will hold those judgments all believe that they are in the right. What are the odds that any of your judgments are the correct ones? That you have somehow stumbled upon even one correct answer? Everyone who you disagree with also believes that they are definitely in the right. Relativism makes it impossible for law or social consensus to ground morality. You might try to use these institutions as guides to your judgment. Relativism makes it impossible for law or social consensus to ground morality. You might try to use those institutions as guides to your judgment. And I think, this is now really about, I don't know, like, theoretically speaking, back in the days, humans have also killed humans. Nowadays, it should not be done. And everyone that is maybe clear-minded or has has something in their heads knows that this also should not be done, but this is based on like law and also social consensus. And I think regarding this, it should also not be pushed. This boundary shouldn't be pushed. This law shouldn't definitely be pushed. But maybe regarding some other things that are just social consensus, do not have anything to do with law. Those boundaries maybe should be pushed. This maybe social consensus of, okay, women are not getting equally paid as men are. Maybe this should be pushed. Well, not only maybe, but definitely should be pushed. And many more things, that you might be able to come up with yourself, or that you might have seen in some news outlet or whatever it might be. I don't know. But it is just interesting because it's just social consensus. We are also influenced by the society we live in, our position within it, by our biology, influence our judgments, explain that conformity, and so on, with various other demographic factors like income, class, caste, I guess, and so on. Definitely the case. I mean, by our biology. Yeah, just, definitely. I mean, if I'm having coming back to what I've been talking about before, when I'm having some cognitive distortion that might be of biological origin, maybe, I don't know, this might influence me, or this probably is influencing me. Supposing that some judgments are correct, this influence can't only influence people towards those correct judgments. Where those judgments are contradictory, only one of them can be correct. Even if you believe that the objectivity explanation applies to your beliefs, you still have to believe the influence explanation for the beliefs of everyone else. Otherwise, you can't explain why they believe why the beliefs of other people cluster together in societies like they do, nor can you really account for anyone who disagrees with you. We can explain why people believe the judgments they hold without invoking things like inherent goodness or objective morality. People largely believe and feel these things under the influence of all sorts of biological, social, and personal factors. Doing so is much simpler and makes far more sense. I do really think I might just scroll a bit and you could retain all the content of your previous judgments by just rephrasing them as choices. Hold your values as choices instead of judgments. Yeah, I think we all have gotten the points, and maybe let's actually head to something else. This is not right. I'm just always sorting by the newest to just see what he is interested in. How Religion Evolved, the first one by Robin Dunbar, which is rated 9 out of 10. So if you're interested in this topic, I think that I'm not going to go through this one. Always like a difficult thing to go through when you're having an opinion, I think. Then Excellent Advice for Living by Kevin Kelly, the author of 1000 True Fans, is only rated 6 out of 10, which was quite interesting for me. But Civils apparently does not really like aphorisms, since this book is only about like a few sentences. Well, actually a few sentences, quite a few sentences, but it is just a sentence. So it's not an explanation of the sentence. It's just, here you're having a quote, do whatever you want to do with it, quite. Rebel Talent, 4 out of 10, so we're definitely not going to go through this, by Francesca, I think Chino, I guess. Then we're having Swisstory, basically history of Switzerland. Then we're having Nothing and Everything. And then you have You Look Like a Thing and I Love You, which is apparently a funny book explaining the basics of AI. The subtitle is How Artificial Intelligence Works and Why It Is Making the World a Weirder Place. A great introduction to AI. So if you're interested in AI, you might be interested in this book then. Then there's History of Dubai, which apparently is quite good. The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur by Mike Michalowicz, I guess? I don't know. Which is rated 4 out of 10. Some thoughts on entrepreneurship about being resourceful, scrappy, savvy. I like the focus on beliefs. Loved the $100 bill example. And that is it. Then we're having Rich Dad Poor Dad, that I also went through, I think back in the days. Maybe it was actually a quite elaborate book summary as far as I remember. Useful Delusions by Shankar Vedantam. I might have actually gone through this. No massive epiphanies, but many good points around the subject compiled in one place makes for a good argument. If you like Useful Not True, read this next. Same subject as my upcoming Useful Not True. So apparently there is a book coming out shortly. Might have to check that one, by Derek himself, called Useful and Not True. Cool. The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt. We might actually, I might have started this one. Anyway. I actually have started this one. And I think that I've started it from the bottom to top because I have fucked up the recording on this day. And I should actually check the recording, and everything seems to be quite fine. I hope, yes, everything is fine. And I might actually start from the middle, or I'm just gonna pick something. Moral reasons are the tail wagged by the intuitive dog. A dog's tail wags to communicate, and you can't make a dog happy by forcefully wagging its tail. And you can't change people's mind by utterly refuting their arguments. Even though I don't know what's the correlation between smiling and being happy is. But I think that by smiling, you can make yourself happy. I do believe that there was some study on that, but take it with a grain of salt. I don't remember. But it might be a thing. Even though I'm just not really believing in it. Like just, always smiling, it might actually be Quite creepy. I lied so quickly and convincingly that my wife and I both believed me. We lie, cheat, and justify so well that we honestly believe we are honest. Brains evaluate everything in terms of potential threat or benefit to the self and then adjust behavior to get more of the good stuff and less of the bad, which really makes sense. Most of our reactions are too fleeting to be called emotions. Almost everything we look at triggers a tiny flash of effect, small flashes of positive or negative. We find ourselves liking or disliking something the instant we notice it, sometimes even before we know what it is. There was something, I've skipped it. There was something like you can make people like any word or image more just by showing it to them several times. The brain tags familiar things as good things. This is the mere exposure effect, which might actually be used for something good. Maybe when you're learning something or when you're trying or having to learn something, exposing yourself to it more often might make you like it more, or apparently makes you like it more. So you might try it out. Thinking could work independently of feeling in theory, but in practice, effective reactions are so fast and compelling that they act like blinders on a horse. They reduce available alternatives for later thinking. Flip a coin on the day of your birth. Heads, you will be a supremely honest and fair person throughout your life, yet everyone around you will believe you are a scoundrel, whatever this means. Tails, you will cheat and lie whenever it suits your needs, yet everyone around you will believe you are a paragon of virtue. Which outcome would you prefer? I would actually prefer the first one, to be honest. People care much more about appearance and reputation than about reality. Reason is not fit to rule, it was designed to seek justification and not truth. To design an ethical society, make sure that everyone's reputation is on the line all the time, so that bad behavior will always bring bad consequences. Maybe let's go a bit ahead. Far worse than gluttony, violence, or even heresy is the betrayal of one's family, team, or nation. Is this a fact or is this like just saying? Loyalty tends to be teams and coalitions for boys in contrast to two-person relationships for girls. Wait. Teams and coalitions for boys and two-person relationships for girls. On the left, fairness often implies equality, but on the right, it means proportionality. People should be rewarded in proportion to what they contribute, even if that guarantees unequal outcomes. Selfish genes can give rise to generous creatures as long as those creatures are selective in their generosity. Well, yeah, quite. Every human society uses language to gossip about moral violations. Humans develop the ability to unite in order to shame, I think it's ostracize, I guess, or kill anyone whose behavior threatened or simply annoyed the rest of the group. Actually, coming back to laws, right? Breaking the law annoys quite a few people and or just the right people. Theoretically speaking, not speaking against laws. Laws are important, I guess. There might be actually some pretty good book on laws. Aggressive, controlling behavior can trigger righteous anger. The feeling you get when an authority tells you you can't do something and you feel yourself wanting to do it even more strongly. The rise of a would-be dominator triggers a motivation to unite as equals with other oppressed individuals to resist, restrain, and in extreme cases, kill the oppressor. We are wary of those who claim to be leaders unless they have first earned our trust. Which I understand. Human beings are the giraffes of altruism. We are one-of-a-kind freaks of nature who can be as selfless and team-spirited as bees. Our ability to work together, divide labor, help each other, and function as a team. It is inconceivable that you would ever see two chimpanzees carrying a log together. And this actually should be learned, taught, and utilized, I think. Which is not always the case, unfortunately. But what should we do about it? When early humans began to share intentions, their ability to hunt, gather, raise children, and raid their neighbors increased exponentially. Everyone on the team now had a mental representation of the task, knew that his or her partners shared the same representation, knew when a partner had acted in a way that impeded success or that hogged the spoils and reacted negatively to such violations. When everyone in a group began to share a common understanding of how things were supposed to be done, and then felt a flash of negativity when any individual violated those expectations, the first moral matrix was born. Which is interesting. Which is really interesting because, I mean, when working in groups and having certain rules, and or at least, well, I think actually shared intentions, like saying, okay, the deadline is going to be on the 8th of April or some shit, and somebody misses that deadline, I think then there's going to be some distrust on one hand, and on the other hand, there's going to be some anger, maybe, depending on what it is all about. Cultural innovations such as keeping cattle can lead to genetic responses such as adult lactose intolerance. We love using symbolic markers to show our group memberships, from the tattoos and face piercings used among Amazonian tribes through the male circumcision required of Jews to the tattoos and facial piercings used by punks in the United Kingdom. Human beings take extraordinary, costly, and sometimes painful steps to make their bodies advertise the group membership. A way to forge a sense of we that extends beyond kinship. We trust and cooperate more readily with people who look and sound like us. We expect them to share our values and norms. Which actually might be interesting for companies or team builders to maybe make sure that you're at least having people from the same country, maybe, even though in countries, inside the boundary of a country, there's always going to be, I don't know if always, probably there are certain countries where this does not apply. There are going to be certain dialects, there's going to be certain different ways of speaking. We trust and cooperate more readily with people who look and sound like us. Yes, because I was thinking about sounding. Looking, I don't know. Maybe also the case. But for me, I think sounding might actually be... Well, no, not really. Well, I don't know. I think yes, but hard to tell now. Shame and guilt increase the chance that norms are followed. Individuals who found it harder to play along, to restrain their antisocial impulses, and to conform to the most important collective norms would not have been anyone's top choice when it came time to choose partners for hunting, foraging, or mating. We self-domesticate. But yeah, I think with that being said, I'm going to end the episode here. I do really hope that you've liked those two books, those two things, and I'm hopefully going to see you next time. So